Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to discuss the further lecture of illicit drugs. In the previous lecture, I discussed definition of illicit drugs, classification, and some classification of illicit drugs and like natural occurring drugs and plant extract and semi-synthetic drugs and synthetic drugs, and also I discuss with you stimulants. And today I will discuss with you amphetamines and and depressants, barbiturates, and cocaine. So if you didn't subscribe my channel till, so hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon to get more updates. So let's start the video. So my first topic here is amphetamines. So as come to the amphetamines, it is a class of illicit drugs which are controlled drugs, and also these are abused drugs. And there are many drugs derived from the amphetamines. Although amphetamines itself has not abused for many years around the world, a derivative called methamphetamine is far more popular as an illicit drug. Amphetamine arose from the desire of pharmacologists to find a substitute for ephedrine. The active ingredient in a group of herbs that has been used for thousands of years. Ephedrine is used today to dilate bronchial passages in the treatment of asthma, and this was one of the early uses of amphetamine. Amphetamine has also been used in the treatment of narcolepsy, a disease that causes its victim to fall asleep suddenly many times a day. It has also been used as an appetite suppressant and in the treatment of hyperkinesia, a disease that causes hyperactivity mainly in children. Although still in federal Schedule 2, amphetamine is no longer widely prescribed for any of these purposes. So, in 1960s, amphetamine and methamphetamine began to be widely abused for their stimulant properties. Instead of taking the drugs orally, which was prepared route of administration for pharmaceutical uses, abusers started taking them intravenously, which magnifies their effects. Even today, clandestine methamphetamine labs flourish in many parts of the country. There are many routes to the preparation of methamphetamine, and they can be found in underground publication and on the web. Because of its potent stimulant effects, methamphetamine has also been called speed. Since the 1960s, the stimulant is generally called as uppers. In recent years, the widespread abuse of amphetamines. These are the structure of amphetamine and methamphetamines. So, abuse of the amphetamines has led to the increasingly tighter control of legitimately manufactured doses. So, more of the abused drugs has been made clandestinely in an attempt to overcome the unpleasant habit of IV injection of these drugs. Some users developed a smokable form of the methamphetamine called ice. Ice is made by slowly evaporating a solution of methamphetamine, forming large crystals. One of the form of clandestine methamphetamine tablets is shown here. You can see easily in the picture. So, there are a number of synthetic routes to manufacture amphetamine. A new ones crop up. The federal government responds by putting some of the precursors under control. making them more difficult to obtain. Clandestine chemists then developed new ways to manufacture meth. An example of this phenomena is the simple synthesis of methamphetamine from pseudoephedrine, an OTC allergy medicine. Combining this substance with lithium, which can be obtained from small rechargeable batteries, and ammonia, which can be obtained from the farms, where it is used in the manufacture of fertilizers, forms methamphetamine. The ease of obtaining these materials turned clandestine methamphetamine manufacture into an epidemic during the 1990s and 2000s. Finally, states responded by putting pseudoephedrine behind pharmacy counters and requiring purchasers to furnish identification as sign of the for the drugs. People who illegally manufacture methamphetamine didn't want to have to identify themselves, and thus this method of meth manufacture has been drastically curtailed. There is some disagreement as to whether amphetamine and methamphetamine are additive. It is now generally believed that when taken IV, these substances become addicting, whereas when taken orally or smoked, they cause strong psychological dependence but not addiction. So, next is the cocaine. As far as the cocaine is concerned, the major stimulant that is abused heavily in US is cocaine. Cocaine is naturally occurring substance that is found only in the erythroxylone coca plant that grows absolutely exclusively on Amazon slopes of the Andes Mountains in South America. Evidence from as far back as 500 AD indicate that coca leaves were being used by indigenous people. 500 years later, coca plants were being exclusively cultivated in Peru. So, today it is believed that more than 50 million kilograms or 110 million pounds are produced annually in South America, chiefly in Bolivia, Peru, and Colombia, and only a small fraction of that is domestically or legally exported. Cocaine is extracted from coca leaves domestically and then exported to the US and other countries. It takes about 500 grams of coca leaves to produce 1 kg coca powder. Domestically, cocaine has been used for hundreds of years by chewing the leaves of the coca plant rather than by extracting the cocaine chemically. So, this is the powder for coca, and it's the plant, and these are the crystals. One of the early proponents of cocaine for its medicinal effects was Sigmund Freud, who experienced with it extensively and praised its stimulant effects and the feelings of well-being that is caused. He especially recommended it as a method of curing morphine addiction. In his famous fiction, he wrote that cocaine as a habit-forming drug, this emotion of picture in of 1980s. So the stimulant and the euphoric effect of the cocaine made this drink an overnight success. In 1903, cocaine from his election because of the government pressure on the heels of the medicinal evidence of the danger of taking cocaine. He replaced it with caffeine. For a time, he continued to add decocainized coca leaves for flavoring. Beverages derived from its method are still popular today. By the turn of 20th century, cocaine was extremely popular in the US as a pleasure drug. A large number of products containing cocaine was available. These products could be imbibed by drinking, sniffing through the nose, and injecting. In 1906, with the Pure Food and Drugs Act, and cocaine was very severely curtailed and the drug became heavily controlled. As amphetamines became easy to obtain in 1930s, cocaine use declined and then rose with an amphetamines become strictly controlled in the 1970s. For many years, it was believed that cocaine was not a physically addictive drug. The opinion has changed, however. So, with the advent of cracks or a crystal form of crystal cocaine free base, when smoked, crack cocaine can cause physical addiction. Cocaine provides an excellent case study of the huge profit that are being made illegal drug trafficking. Major drug trafficker can obtain 500 pounds of coca leaves from a farmer for about $250. These leaves in turn will produce about 1 pound of the pure cocaine. It is sold to be a final exporter for about 1,000 pound. Broker down into small packages and diluted, and a final product was up to 5 pounds of diluted cocaine can sell for as much as 25,000 pounds on the streets of the US, a hundredfold increase in value. So next illicit drug is are the depressants. As far as a depressant are concerned, when one thinks of the depressant substances that are abused, the first one that comes to mind is ethyl alcohol, used to make beer, wine, and spirits. It is important to note, however, that alcohol is not a listed controlled substance in the US and thus is not covered under the laws that control drugs. Alcohol is covered under a separate set of regulations. This topic will be covered in chapter or further in forensic toxicology. Over the years, the number of depressant substances has been abused. These have mostly legitimate prescription medicines taken because of their depressant effects. In many cases, they have been long with stimulants to try to mediate their depressant effects. A few of the more popular abused depressants are described in the following sections. So next topic is, we have the barbiturates. So barbiturates, depressant drugs are known by a variety of names, including sedatives, hypnotics, and distinct drug term donors. They all have the common effect to one degree or another of decreasing brain activity. In small doses, these drugs may be taken to reduce the anxiety and as a sedatives. In large doses, they can be used as sleeping pills and also called as hypnotics. The major class of illicit depressant in US is barbiturates. This group of chemical substances based upon the compounds of barbituric acid and thiobarbituric acid. Barbituric acid itself is not a central nervous depressant, but over 2,500 derivatives have since been produced. Barbiturates are grouped pharmacologically in three groups: short, intermediate, and long acting. As a group, the barbiturates can be highly addictive and withdrawal can be difficult and dangerous. Sudden withdrawal of some of the powerful barbiturates can be fatal. There is also a great danger of the interaction of alcohol and barbiturates. Several people, including some celebrities, have died from an accidental overdose of alcohol and barbs. Other people became addicted to the barbiturates and amphetamines, taking both in great quantities. Detoxification from this potential lethal combination of drugs can take many months or even years. Other depressants, which are included in illicit drugs, have been abused over the years. One of the more popular of these used to be meprobamate, which was introduced in the 1950s. It never became a widely used or abused drug, except for a short time. In 1960s and 70s, since barbiturates became popular, scientists have researched for alternative drugs that would be less toxic and addicting. They thought they had one of with methaqualone, marketed as Qualode or a support, thus earning the drugs the nickname of loads and sporers. College students heavily abused the drugs in 1960s and 70s. It didn't take long to prove that was just as dangerous as the barbiturates. It finally taken off the market in 1985 and abused drugs is also an almost non-existent. Another attempt to develop more suitable drug to replace barbiturates was the benzodiazepines. The first one was called Librium. chlorodiazepoxide. Librium was also called because it liberated people from their anxiety. It arose to become the most often prescribed drug in the US in the late 1960s. It was later supplanted with Valium diazepine, which is very potent. Valium soon became the country's most powerful prescribed drug. It also became a very popular illicit drug and became long. Doctor discovered that withdrawal was causing addiction and dependence like syndromes. Overdose deaths rose markedly, and Valium soon became more tightly controlled by the federal government and enforced by the law. Today, Valium is still prescribed for anxiety but at greatly reduced rates. Valium injections are used today as an anesthetic in some medical procedures and minor surgeries. So that's thank you so much. This was all from me. In the next video, I will discuss with you narcotics, hypnotics, opioids, and hallucinogens, marijuana. So stay tuned and if you didn't subscribe my channel and press the bell icon and share this video to your friends. Okay, Allah Hafiz.